Section 29 of Strength and How to Obtain It. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Larry Wilson. Strength and How to Obtain It by Eugene Sandow. Part 2, Chapter 12. My Performance at the Present Time. It may be useful as a record to indicate briefly the nature of the salient features of my recent performance at the London Pavilion and since in the provinces. To begin with, there is a tableau arranged for the purpose of showing muscular repose, with all the muscles relaxed, muscular tension with all the muscles as firm as steel, the abdominal muscles, the biceps, muscles of the inside of the upper arm, the triceps, muscles of the back of the upper arm, the deltoid muscles of the shoulders, the trapezius muscle, which raises the shoulders, the muscles of the back, the action and uses of different muscles, and the chest expansion from 48 inches normal to 62 inches. The tableau curtains are drawn, and the scene changes to the arena. Resting with my neck on one trestle and my heels on another, I hold a 56-pound weight in each hand at arm's length and support 4 men simultaneously on my body. For the performance of this feat it may be mentioned that exceptionally strong neck and abdominal muscles are necessary. Taking a pack of ordinary playing cards, I tear them first in half, then in 4 parts, and finally into eighths. Next I tear 2 packs, and finally 3 packs, each pack containing the ordinary number of 52 cards. The feat of tearing in half 1 pack of cards was originally shown to me by the late Emperor of Russia. My reputation as an amateur had reached His Imperial Majesty, who paid me the honor of commanding my presence. During that interview, His Majesty, as a test of his own manual strength, took a pack of cards and tore it, as I have said, in halves. He had never tried more than the 1 pack, but as his apparent, I have succeeded with 3, the torn cards being distributed each evening amongst the audience. Another feat is performed lying prone on the ground. From this position I lift with one hand a Roman chariot, rising upright with it, and afterwards lying down again. This feat brings the whole of the muscles into play. I also introduce my Roman horse exercise. Sitting on a horse, and so bending my back as to throw my head over the animal's tail, I raise at arm's length heavy weights from the ground. Next I pick up 2 men, one after the other, raising them over my head and seating them in the saddle. Another interesting feat consists of lifting a man from a prone position on the ground to the horse's back using one hand only. As a concluding feat, I support on my chest a bridge weighing 800 pounds. Over this bridge 2 persons drive a horse and chariot, making a total weight of about 3,200 pounds. Sometimes, however, I conclude my performance by lifting with one hand at arm's length a platform upon which rests an ordinary piano, with a man seated playing upon it. Having lifted it, I march off the stage with the lot, the musician playing a lively tune as we go. I have not attempted to enumerate all my feats here. Of course, my performance has been varied from time to time, but a number of other feats have been referred to in the body of the book. It may be interesting, perhaps, to add that I have recently composed a musical march entitled Marche des Athletes, as well as a waltz Sandoia, and other pieces which musicians have been kind enough to commend for their brightness and originality. End of section 29.
Section 15 of Strength and How to Obtain It. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Christine Rucker. Strength and How to Obtain It by Eugene Sandow. Part 1, Chapter 14. Heavy Weightlifting. It is not my purpose in this book to give anything beyond general directions for lifting heavy weights. You can become thoroughly strong and enjoy perfect health by means of the series of exercises already described. Heavy weightlifting requires personal instruction. That instruction will be given to those who may desire it at my schools. Under qualified instructors, it may be pursued without the risk of danger. Generally, however, it may be observed that to lift heavy weights, it is desirable first to see what weight can be used without undue strain. Slowly raise this weight from your shoulder over your head, or if from the ground, raise it somewhat more quickly. See how many times you are able to raise the weight first selected, and when you can perform the exercise with comparative ease, raising it, say, 10 times up to 80 pounds, 6 times from 80 to 100, and afterwards 3 times. Increase the weight for the next day's exercise by 5 pounds. Continue this increase as you grow more capable, remembering always to bring the left hand into play as well as the right at the same time, though it should not be neglected. Avoid overtaxing the left side. The great thing to remember is to go slowly. Avoid anything like spasmodic efforts, and endeavor before trying a lift to thoroughly think out the different movements. Weightlifting should never be practiced in a confined space or where the weight cannot be readily dropped. To attempt to hold on to a weight after the balance has been lost may result in serious strains and other injuries. The pupil should practice dropping a weight from any position safely and gracefully. If the pupil bear these few hints in mind, he will come to no harm. But as I have said, weightlifting is best left alone until it can be practiced under the personal supervision of an experienced instructor. End of section 15.
Chapter 4 of Strength and How to Obtain It. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Strength and How to Obtain It by Eugene Sandow. Section 5, Chapter 4, How to Exercise. In commencing the system of exercises described and illustrated by the anatomical chart, there are certain questions which every student naturally asks himself. Probably the first of these questions is, what part of the day ought I to devote to these exercises? The answer to this question must depend on the pupil himself, on his leisure, and on his inclination. Some persons find the early morning the best and the most convenient time. Others prefer the afternoon. And a third class, again, find that they feel best and have the most leisure at night. I do not, therefore, lay down a hard and fast rule of time. The golden rule is to select such part of the day as suits you best, always avoiding exercise immediately after meals. If possible, let 2 hours elapse between a meal and exercise. Moreover, do not exercise just before going to bed if you find it has a tendency to keep you awake. Many of my pupils find that they sleep much better after exercise, but there are some upon whom it has a reverse effect. If possible, the pupil should always exercise stripped to the waist. If he wears a singlet, it should be cut well away round the arms, so as to allow of free play for the muscles around the shoulder. It is also desirable to exercise before a looking glass, for then the movements of the various muscles can be followed, and to see the muscles at work and to mark their steady development is itself a help and a pleasure. In performing the exercises, the pupil should bend the knees slightly and keep the muscles of the thighs tense. The legs will thus share in the benefit of all the movements. What I wish to impress on delicate pupils is the desirability of progress by degrees. Many men, before beginning my system of physical training, have been so weak that doctors have thought little of the prospect of saving their lives. Yet, today, they are amongst the strongest. They have progressed gradually, always being careful not to undertake too much. and thus to adapt to the exercises to their own individual requirements. It may be mentioned also that the old as well as the young may derive great benefits from my system, though all who are over the age of 50 should moderate the exercises on the lines suggested in the table of ages for pupils between 15 and 17. My exercises will also be found of considerable benefit to persons who suffer from obesity. Pupils must not be discouraged because after the first few days training they may feel stiff. It sometimes happens that a young man or woman, or perhaps a middle-aged one, sets out on the course of training with the greatest enthusiasm. After the first 2 or 3 days, the enthusiasm perhaps wears off. Then comes a period of stiffness, and the pupil is inclined to think that he cannot be bothered to proceed with the course. To such pupils, I would say, in all earnestness, don't be overcome by apparent difficulties. If you wish to succeed, go forward. Never draw back. This stiffness, moreover, becomes a very pleasant feeling. You soon grow to like it. Personally, indeed, it may be said that it is one of the most agreeable sensations I have ever had. Frequently, pupils ask me how long it should take them to get strong. The answer again depends on themselves, not only on their physical constitution, but also on the amount of willpower they put into their exercises. As I have said already, it is the brain that develops the muscles. Brain will do as much as dumbbells, even more. For example, when you are sitting down reading, practice contracting your muscles. Do this every time you are sitting down leisurely, and by contracting them hard and even harder each time, you will find that it will have the same effect as the use of dumbbells or any more vigorous form of exercise. It is very advisable for all pupils to get into the habit of constantly practicing this muscle contraction.